The afterlife, a concept that has captivated humanity for millennia. In Islam, it holds a place of paramount importance, shaping our worldview and actions. It's not merely an abstract notion, but a deeply ingrained belief that provides solace, motivation, and a profound sense of accountability. The Quran, the holy book of Islam, speaks extensively about the day of judgment, the resurrection, and the eternal consequences of our deeds. Kullu nafsin da'iqatul maut. Every soul shall taste death. Quran 3:185, Sahih International. This essay delves into the Islamic understanding of the soul's journey after death, drawing upon the Quran, Hadith, and interpretations by esteemed scholars. Man mata faqad kama qiyamatuhu. When a person dies, his qiyamah begins. Hadith, Sahih Muslim. We will explore the experiences of both the righteous and the wicked, the concept of Barzakh, as explained by scholars like Ibn Kathir in his book Al-Bidaya wal-Nihaya, and the significance of practices like visiting graves. I used to forbid you from visiting graves, but now you should visit them. Hadith Sahih Muslim. The essay will also shed light on the heartwarming promise of reunions in paradise and its depiction in Islamic teachings. وَبَشِّرِ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ أَنَّ لَهُمْ جَنَّاتٍ تَجْرِي مِنْ تَحْتِهَا الْأَنْهَارُ. And give good news to those who believe and do righteous deeds, that they will have gardens in paradise beneath which rivers flow. Quran 2:25, Sahih International. By understanding these concepts, we gain a deeper appreciation for the Islamic perspective on life, death, and the eternal realm beyond. Death in Islam is not an end, but a transition, a passage from this fleeting world to the everlasting hereafter. The Quran describes the moment of death with vivid imagery, and the pangs of death will come in truth. This is what you were trying to escape from. Quran 50:19. At the time of death, the soul, or ruh, separates from the physical body. This separation is not a gentle process, but one marked by intense struggle. As the soul is extracted from the physical form it once inhabited. The Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessing be upon him, is reported to have said, "The soul is extracted like a skewer is drawn through wet wool, with some parts clinging to it." Sahih al-Bukhari. This imagery highlights the profound nature of death and the soul's reluctance to leave the material world. Yet despite the struggle, the soul's departure marks the beginning of its true journey, a journey towards its creator and ultimate destination. The angel of death, Azrael, peace be upon him, plays a pivotal role in this process, tasked with receiving the souls of the departed. The Islamic tradition emphasizes the presence of angels, both merciful and stern, who accompany us throughout our lives and into the hereafter. Upon death, two angels, Munkar and Nakir, visit the deceased in the grave. These angels question the individual about their beliefs and actions. The righteous are welcomed to paradise with peace and reassurance. For the defiant, the questioning is harsh, leading to torment and anguish. After the initial questioning in the grave, the soul enters Barzakh, an Arabic word meaning barrier or partition. Barzakh is an intermediate realm, a veil between this life and the hereafter. For the righteous, it is a state of peace and tranquility, a foretaste of eternal bliss. However, for the wicked, Barzakh is a period of torment and anguish, a glimpse into eternal punishment. Section 5. Whispers from the Grave. Communicating with the departed. The Islamic tradition acknowledges the possibility of communication with the deceased, albeit within certain boundaries. While direct conversations are not possible, Muslims believe that the souls in Barzakh can hear the greetings and prayers of their loved ones who visit their graves. The Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessing be upon him, encouraged visiting graves, stating that it reminds you of the hereafter. Tirmidhi. This practice is not about seeking favors from the dead, but rather about remembering them, acknowledging their lives, and offering prayers for their well-being in the hereafter. Moreover, Muslims believe that certain actions such as giving charity on behalf of the deceased or reciting the Quran and dedicating the rewards to their souls can reach them and benefit them in the Barzakh. This belief underscores the interconnectedness of this world and the hereafter, highlighting the enduring bonds of love and compassion that transcend the physical realm. In this chapter, we will explore the significance of respect and reverence at gravesites, supported by evidences from the Quran and Hadith. The Quran states, Kullu nafsin da'iqatul maut. Kullu nafsin da'iqatul maut. Every soul shall taste death. Quran 3:185, translated by Abdullah Yusuf Ali. This verse emphasizes the inevitability of death and the importance of preparing for the afterlife. However, certain practices at the grave are forbidden or discouraged. Here are some key prohibitions and practices to avoid. Forbidden practices at the grave: wailing and excessive mourning, narrated by Abdullah ibn Masood. May Allah be pleased with him. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said, He who slaps his cheeks, tears his clothes, and follows the ways and traditions of the days of ignorance is not one of us. Sahih Bukhari. Excessive mourning, wailing, and lamenting are discouraged as they go against the principles of patience and acceptance of Allah's decree. Building structures on graves. Narrated by Jabir, may Allah be pleased with him, the Prophet, peace be upon him, forbade plastering over the graves, sitting on them, and building structures over them. Sahih Muslim. Constructing elaborate structures or permanent buildings over graves is discouraged to avoid any form of grave worship or ostentation. Offering sacrifices. Sacrificing animals or making offerings at graves with the intention of seeking favor from the deceased or thinking that such actions will benefit the dead is not permissible. Worship and acts of devotion should be directed to Allah alone. Praying towards the grave. Performing prayers facing a grave is prohibited as it can imply praying to the deceased instead of Allah. Prayer should be directed solely towards the Qibla, Kaaba in Mecca. Seeking help from the deceased, seeking intercession, aid, or making supplications to the dead, believing that they can directly influence one's affairs, is considered shirk, associating partners with Allah. Narrated by Abu Huraira, may Allah be pleased with him. The Prophet, peace and blessing upon him, said, Do not make my grave a place of festivity, nor make your homes graves. Send blessings upon me, for your blessings reach me wherever you may be. Sunan Abu Dawud. Sitting or walking on graves. Narrated by Abu Huraira, may Allah be pleased with him. The Prophet, peace be upon him, said, It is better for one of you to sit on a glowing ember that burns his clothes and his skin than to sit on a grave. Sahih Muslim. Sitting, walking, or stepping on graves is considered disrespectful to the deceased. Engaging in superstitious practices, engaging in any superstitious rituals, such as believing in the grave's power to bring good fortune or cure illnesses is forbidden. Islam encourages reliance on Allah and following authentic practices prescribed in the Quran and Sunnah. Additional practices to avoid reciting the Quran out loud. While it is permissible to recite the Quran at the grave to remind oneself of the hereafter, doing so loudly and disturbing others is discouraged. The focus should be on quietly reflecting and making supplications for the deceased. Narrated by Ibn Umar, may Allah be pleased with him, the Prophet, peace be upon him, said, "Do not turn your houses into graves. Satan runs away from the house in which Surah Al-Baqarah is recited." Sahih Muslim. This hadith emphasizes the importance of reciting the Quran regularly in places of living rather than only at graves. Putting flowers at the grave. Placing flowers on graves is a cultural practice that is not prescribed in Islam. The Prophet, peace be upon him, did place a piece of a palm branch on graves, but scholars generally agree that this was a specific act for that particular occasion and not meant to be a general practice. Narrated by Ibn Abbas, may Allah be pleased with him, the Prophet, peace be upon him, passed by two graves and said, "They are being punished, but they are not being punished for something major. One of them did not keep himself clean from urine, and the other used to slander." He then took a green branch, split it into two pieces, and placed one on each grave. He said, Hopefully their punishment will be lightened until these get dried. Sahih Bukhari. This act was specific and not a general recommendation for all graves. Conclusion. Islamic teachings emphasize showing respect to the deceased and their graves while maintaining the focus on monotheism and the worship of Allah alone. According to Islamic scholar Ibn Qayyim, Al-Qabr awal manazil al-akhirah, Al-Qabru awalu manazil al-akhirah. The grave is the first stage of the hereafter. Kitab Aruh. Translated by Muhammad al-Jibali. Visiting graves is encouraged for reflection and prayer, but it should be done with proper etiquette and adherence to Islamic principles. Additionally, the hadith narrated by Abu Huraira, may Allah be pleased with him, states, "Zuru al-qubur, فَإِنَّهَا تُذَكِّرُكُمُ الْآخِرَةِ. Zuru al-qubura, فَإِنَّهَا تُذَكِّرُكُمُ الْآخِرَةِ. Visit the graves, for they remind you of the hereafter." Sahih Muslim, translated by Nasiruddin al-Khattab. This hadith highlights the spiritual benefits of visiting graves. Acts such as wailing, building structures, offering sacrifices, praying towards the grave, seeking help from the deceased, sitting or walking on graves, engaging in superstitious practices, reciting the Quran out loud, and placing flowers should be avoided to maintain the sanctity of Islamic teachings. Reunions and recognitions, encounters in the hereafter. The promise of reunions with loved ones is comforting. Gardens of perpetual residence whose doors will be open to them. Quran 38, 50, 51, Sahih International. Therein they will recline. Therein they will call for fruit and drinks. Quran 38, 50, 51, Sahih International. Paradise is a place of social interaction and joy. Imagine the joy of embracing a loved one lost. The Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessing be upon him, emphasized this point, saying, "When the people of paradise enter paradise, they will not be content until they see among them those they loved." Tirmidhi, Hadith 2562. This promise serves as a source of comfort for those grieving. Section 7. Paradise, a realm of eternal bliss. Paradise, in Islamic belief, is not merely a garden with rivers and fruits, but a multi-layered realm of unimaginable beauty and bliss. The Quran describes it as a place where there will be whatever the souls desire and whatever will delight the eyes. Quran 43:71. It is a realm tailored to the deepest desires of the human heart, a place where every longing for goodness, beauty, and fulfillment is met. Imagine gardens beneath which rivers flow, palaces of shimmering pearls, and companions of extraordinary beauty. The Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessing be upon him, described the lowest rank in paradise as having 10 times the world and everything in it, highlighting the unimaginable scale of rewards for the righteous. But perhaps the greatest bliss of paradise lies in the presence of Allah, God, the source of all beauty, mercy, and love. The Quran states, "And the greatest bliss is the pleasure of seeing their Lord." Quran 92:23. It is this proximity to the divine, this direct experience of His love and mercy, that constitutes the ultimate reward for believers in paradise. Living with purpose. The afterlife's impact on this life. The belief in the afterlife inspires a life lived with purpose and intentionality. Accountability before God motivates ethical conduct and righteousness. Our actions take on deeper meaning, shifting our priorities. Small acts of kindness impact our standing in the hereafter. The afterlife concept encourages living with awareness, compassion, and justice. Section 9. Conclusion. A legacy of hope and reunion. The Islamic understanding of the afterlife provides a comprehensive framework for understanding life, death, and the eternal realm beyond. It offers solace in times of grief, motivation for righteous living, and a profound sense of hope for a future filled with unimaginable reward and reunion. The journey of the soul after death, as described in the Quran and Hadith, is a testament to God's mercy, justice, and unwavering love for His creation. By reflecting upon these teachings, we gain a deeper appreciation for the preciousness of this life and the importance of utilizing it wisely, making choices that will lead us closer to our Creator and secure our place among the righteous in the hereafter. The Islamic afterlife, therefore, is not an end but a beautiful beginning, a continuation of our journey towards eternal bliss and the fulfillment of our deepest longing, to be in the presence of the divine.